Let me ask you a genuine question. Are carbohydrates really the problem when it comes to high insulin levels and insulin resistance? Or is that an oversimplification that has taken on a whole life of its own? Because insulin does not just act in the body, it also acts in the brain, and that changes the conversation somewhat. Most people talk about insulin as if it is only about blood sugar. Eat carbs, insulin goes up. Do that for long enough, insulin resistance develops. Simple story, possibly too simple. Here's what often gets missed. Insulin is also a brain signaling molecule. It affects appetite, motivation, energy perception, autonomic tone, and focus. And the brain does not make insulin itself, it has to import it from the blood. That import is tightly regulated by the blood-brain barrier. Unless inflammation enters the picture. Now, there's research showing that bacterial endotoxins, specifically LPS from the gut, can dramatically increase how much insulin gets into the brain. Not just because the barrier becomes leaky, but because the insulin transport system itself becomes more active. So now we have a different question. If endotoxin and gut inflammation are pushing insulin into the brain, is carbohydrate really the driver? Or are we blaming the wrong thing? Because carbohydrate does not create LPS on its own. Carbohydrate does not damage the gut barrier on its own. And carbohydrate does not activate the immune system in isolation. But gut dysbiosis does, leaky gut does, and chronic inflammation does. And I'll tell you another thing, linoleic acid, which depletes one of the key butyrate supporting of the gut microbiota, that also causes major issues with endotoxin and LPS. So inflammation also causes insulin resistance in the body. And now you have a paradox. Peripheral insulin resistance at the same time as increased insulin signaling in the brain. That mismatch matters, and it can show up as brain fog, appetite dysregulation, fatigue, mood changes, feeling wired, flat, or disconnected. So maybe the question is not whether carbohydrates are bad. Maybe the question is whether insulin signaling has been distorted by gut-derived inflammation. Because if that is the case, removing carbs is not fixing the root cause. It's just dampening the signal. And the real issue may not be the carbs, it may be the gut microbiome. Endotoxin, barrier integrity, and immune activation quietly hijacking brain signaling. That is a very different conversation, and one worth having. It's partly why I wrote my Brain Metabolic Flexibility Guide, which I will link in the show notes below, and it's also my passion working with high-functioning professionals to reclaim their mental clarity, their energy, and their gut function, because ultimately the gut and the brain are connected, and you can't have a healthy brain without a healthy gut. Thanks for watching.